So we all know that YouTube is a great place for learning things, but when I started growing mushrooms back in 2008, there wasn't that much good info on it on YouTube at the time. These days, of course, things have changed a lot and there's a lot of great channels. So in this video, I want to share with you my 5 favourite mushroom YouTube channels. Stay tuned. So let's dive straight in. This is going to be in no particular order. I'm just going to cover a few one by one. First up, let's start with Tony over at Freshcap Mushrooms. Tony's got a great channel full of a few different types of videos. So he has quite a few tutorial style videos on different aspects of growing mushrooms, as well as interviews with other people in the industry. And also some stuff on wild mushroom hunting and foraging as well. Some of his interviews are really interesting with the people that he's spoken to. I actually did a podcast with him a few months back, which was a lot of fun. So if you're interested in just hearing from other people in the space, or if you're interested in learning a particular skill within mushroom cultivation, check out Tony's videos on that. Also, if you're interested in anything to do with taking medicinal mushrooms, definitely check out some of the videos they have on that as well, because alongside having kind of mushroom cultivation articles and videos, he also, along with his partner Tegan, runs a company selling medicinal mushroom powders for people to take for medicine. So if any of that interests you, definitely go and check out Tony's channel. Next up, we've got Brian over at What the Fungus, and his channel is a little bit more focused on production. He runs a farm which is kind of based outside in a series of greenhouses, and he grows a number of different varieties and does it at a commercial scale, supplying the mushrooms within his local area. He's got some great videos and bits of advice in terms of setting up a mushroom business and running it in a profitable way. So if you're thinking of getting into mushroom growing in that way, definitely check out some of his videos where he talks through the reality of running a mushroom farm. So a lot of detail in Brian's channel there, so do go and check that out if you're thinking of doing this as a kind of a larger operation. Next up, we've got Adam over at Learn Your Land, and his channel is more focused on foraging for mushrooms. He's an expert forager. He's really great on his identification, and he's got a whole series of different videos for different varieties of mushrooms and how to identify them, what kind of lookalikes you should be watching out for, as well as just some great footage of him on foraging hunts. He also goes into a lot of detail on particular varieties, their medicinal benefits, different ways of using them, as well as other types of plants that are good for foraging. So if that's something that interests you, or you want to go into more detail on foraging for mushrooms, go and check out his channel over at Learn the Land. Next up, we've got Meijer Mushrooms. He's been a pretty popular channel on YouTube for quite a while, and he was pretty unfortunate a couple years back. He had his channel completely taken offline by YouTube for some unknown reason. It can only be assumed as something to do with the fact the channel was based on mushrooms, that they culled a whole load of channels at the time that covered the cultivation of psychedelic mushrooms, and somehow his channel got caught up in that, and he lost a whole load of videos, subscribers and views, which was a horrible experience for him, I think. Anyway, he came back from that and has started posting a load more videos over the last couple of years. So Eric's channel has lots of really great videos about the intricacies of, for example, setting up the equipment in your mushroom fruiting room. In many cases, he's kind of building bits of equipment himself, humidifiers or bagging machines or AC units. He's an engineer in the army, and it really comes across that he knows his stuff when it comes into the technical details of kind of engineering and making things for himself, for his mushroom setup. He, I think, is in the process of setting up a larger scale commercial farm, and again, if you're interested in that kind of direction, definitely come and check out his videos. He also has a couple of tours around other farms which are really interesting too. And then finally we've got TR over at Earth Angel Mushrooms. So his operation is probably the biggest of the bunch here. He grows on a commercial scale both the fresh mushrooms as well as ready to fruit blocks that are kind of ready colonized for other mushroom growers to purchase and then fruit for themselves. And you'll find in a number of his videos some really great advice about the reality of running a commercial mushroom farm, what kind of scales it needs to be at, and the difficulties that you need to overcome to do it successfully. So if you're interested in going down that route, then do check out his channel, and you'll be sure to find a lot of words of wisdom as well as practical advice on the commercial production of mushrooms. Now, of course, there are more channels out there than just these 5. These are just my 5 favorite that I've watched over the years and have learned stuff from myself, and that I think will be useful for other people to watch and learn from. But there are, of course, some other channels out there that I'm just going to mention briefly. One is Mossy Creek Mushrooms, again another commercial producer who has a range of different videos on his process as well as his setup. Also Jewell's Fungi, although she no longer grows mushrooms and her channel hasn't been updated for a year or so, she does have a number of videos which you will possibly find interesting. She showed how she set up her farm as well as some of the detail on the finances behind it. So if that's of interest to you, go and check out some of her older videos there. And then finally, the master of mycology, Paul Stamets. Many of the people, probably all of the people that I've covered here on this channel, as well as myself, will have learnt from Paul Stamets, one of his textbooks. They were the early front runner to a lot of the mushroom growers that have set up over the last 10 to 20 years. And his channel, he does post videos of all sorts of different things. A lot of it is him foraging different varieties of mushrooms in the wild, but he does also have some videos where he shows you inside his company. And he's a true innovator in the world of mycology, as many of you probably already know. So do check out his channel if you're interested in following what Paul is up to. So it would have been pretty weird to have included ourselves in this list, but if you are interested in the low-tech side of mushroom growing, come and check out the GroCycle YouTube channel. We tend to cover mushroom growing from a slightly different point of view. We're not necessarily aiming at commercial production. It's more for kind of small scale, part-time or sideline or hobby growing. Some people do take the methods that we grow with and have applied them as a full-time business, and that's fantastic. It's really interesting, and we will feature some of those people on our channel as time goes forward. But a lot of the techniques we use are well suited to people who don't necessarily want to spend a whole load of money on a huge commercial setup, and we tend to grow in a way that doesn't involve too much in the way of sterilization of the substrate, growing on materials, for example, like coffee grounds, straw, wood pellets. And our channel basically covers some of those processes, as well as just general information about mushrooms, how they grow, and of course also microgreens. So recently we started growing microgreens, and we cover how we grow them and look at things like comparing them between mushrooms versus microgreens. And as time goes on, we'll also be visiting a number of mushroom farms around the UK and abroad, and showcasing how other people go about growing them. We run an online course, and we have a number of members in that course who will go and visit, and will be sharing their journey of mushroom growing on our channel. So keep an eye out for that. So I hope you found this video interesting. Do go and check out the channels that I've mentioned, and if you want to stay in touch with us, do hit subscribe there below, and I look forward to seeing you sometime soon.